Welcome to AI Explorers. Today we dive into the fascinating world of the United Nations. Buckle up for a wild ride from A to Z, founded in 1945 after World War II. The idea was to talk instead of fighting. A big, complex organization keeping peace and protecting rights. First up, we've got the General Assembly, the world's most important high school debate club. Imagine representatives from nearly every country crammed into a room, all trying to agree on something. It's chaotic, loud, and often frustratingly slow, but it's democracy in action. They meet to discuss global issues and pass resolutions. Finding common ground between 193 countries is no easy feat.
Next up, we've got Ban Ki-moon, the 8th Secretary General of the UN. He was the original climate change influencer, advocating for climate action and sustainable development. Basically, he was out there trying to save the world. Let's give it up for Ban Ki-moon, a man who knew our future depends on working together.
Alright folks, time for a little light reading. The UN Charter. Think of it as the rule book for the entire planet. Instead of no running with scissors, it's more like no invading other countries. Signed in 1945, it lays out the UN's core principles: peace, security, human rights, and international cooperation. It's the foundation of the organization. Like any rule book, it's open to interpretation. But hey, that's what happens when 193 countries agree on something. It's a miracle they even agreed on the font. The UN has this ambitious to-do list called the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. These 17 goals are a blueprint for a better future, tackling poverty, hunger, climate change, and gender inequality. We're talking about ending extreme poverty, ensuring clean water, and achieving gender equality. It's a tall order, but if we're not aiming high, then what are we doing here? A little optimism never hurt anyone, right? We've got ECOSOC, the Economic and Social Council. It's the UN's way of saying peace and security are great, but what about the economy and social justice? ECOSOC tackles poverty, inequality, education, and healthcare. It's a big job, but somebody's got to do it. And who better than diplomats and experts?
Let's talk about those iconic blue helmets. UN peacekeepers are on the front lines, maintaining peace and protecting civilians. They mediate ceasefires, disarm militias, and prevent chaos. Peacekeeping is complex and dangerous. It's about trust, dialogue, and lasting peace. Blue helmets represent hope in desperate situations.
Next up, we've got the Secretary General, the head honcho of the UN. This person is basically the CEO of the UN, running the show and setting the agenda. It's a tough job requiring diplomacy, tact, and patience, wrangling world leaders, navigating crises, and signing resolutions. They may not have an army, but they have the bully pulpit. A well-timed speech can sway public opinion and pressure governments. Maybe, just maybe, make the world a better place. Let's talk about human rights. The UN adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948. It outlines freedom of speech and the right to education. Putting those rights into practice is another story. The UN continues to fight for these fundamental rights. Ever wondered what would happen if you could take a country to court? The International Court of Justice, or ICJ, is the UN's judicial arm. It settles legal disputes between states and provides advisory opinions. Think of it as the ultimate courtroom drama, with diplomats arguing over treaties. It's a slow-moving process, but slow and steady is best. Sometimes really bad things happen, and it's important to hold those responsible accountable. The UN's work on justice is crucial. Prosecuting war criminals and fighting for genocide victims' rights, they set up tribunals to investigate human rights abuses. The pursuit of justice is fundamental to the UN. Justice is a key part of the UN's mission.
Let's appreciate Kofi Annan, the 7th Secretary General of the UN. This Nobel Peace Prize laureate dedicated his life to peace and human rights. He oversaw the Millennium Development Goals. He grappled with the Rwandan genocide and Darfur conflict. His words, "Suffering knows no passport," remind us of our shared humanity.
Before the UN, there was the League of Nations. Created after World War I, it aimed to prevent war through dialogue. But it lacked enforcement power and was plagued by self-interest. The League failed to prevent World War II. The UN learned from these mistakes and became more effective. Its creation was a step towards a more peaceful world. The UN has 193 member states, a club almost every country wants to join. Each member state gets a vote in the General Assembly. It's like herding cats on a good day, but that's democracy for you. Where else would you see North Korea and South Korea in the same room? The UN's membership is diverse and sometimes dysfunctional, but it's a testament to the idea that countries with different ideologies can come together, sometimes at least. Let's talk about nuclear weapons. The UN works tirelessly to prevent the spread of these weapons. Enter the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, or NPT. Signed by 191 countries, it aims to prevent nuclear spread. It promotes disarmament and peaceful nuclear energy use. The NPT has made the world safer. The thought of nuclear war is terrifying, but the NPT helps keep that nightmare at bay. The UN has 6 official languages: Arabic, Chinese, English, French, Russian, and Spanish. That's a lot of languages, making UN meetings feel like a chaotic episode of Lost in Translation. Imagine negotiating a complex treaty while deciphering what the delegate next to you is saying. It's enough to make anyone's head spin. But that's the beauty of multilingualism. It forces you to slow down, listen carefully, and appreciate different languages and cultures. Plus, it makes for entertaining moments when things get lost in translation. So you've managed to stop a war. Congratulations. Now comes the hard part: building lasting peace. This is where the UN's efforts come in. Peace building addresses root causes and rebuilds societies. It's about promoting governance and fostering development. It's a long, complex task, but essential for peace. The UN has quotas to ensure everyone has a seat at the table. These quotas ensure different regions and groups are represented. It's about making decisions with diverse perspectives. Quotas can lead to accusations of tokenism, but it's a work in progress. Inclusivity is a principle worth striving for.
The world is full of people forced to flee their homes. Refugees arrive in new countries with hope for a better future. Enter the UN Refugee Agency, or UNHCR. They provide emergency shelter, food, and healthcare, advocating for refugees' rights and rebuilding lives. The UNHCR is a lifeline for millions of displaced people.
It's time to talk about the UN Security Council, the most powerful body within the UN. This is where the big decisions are made, determining the fate of nations. The Security Council has 15 members, including 5 permanent members with veto power: China, France, Russia, the UK, and the US. They can block any resolution. It's often criticized as undemocratic and prone to gridlock. But in issues of war and peace, the Security Council plays a crucial role in maintaining global peace. Remember when the UN decided to babysit newly independent nations? The Trusteeship Council oversaw territories transitioning to self-government. It was like a crash course in nation building. The Council paved the way for many countries' independence. Now, it's retired, having completed its tasks. The UN adapts to changing circumstances. Let's talk about UNESCO, the UN agency preserving culture and promoting education. From World Heritage Sites to literacy programs, UNESCO fosters collaboration. They decide which places are World Heritage Sites. They also improve education access and protect freedom of expression. UNESCO has had its share of controversies, but with culture and heritage, disagreements happen. In 1993, the UN held the World Conference on Human Rights in Vienna. It resulted in the Vienna Declaration, reaffirming human rights universality. The declaration stated human rights are non-negotiable. It guides the UN's human rights work. In a world where rights are under attack, we need reminders. The World Health Organization, or WHO, is the UN agency for global health. From pandemics to polio, the WHO works to prevent disease. They issue health alerts and develop vaccines. The WHO faced criticism during the COVID-19 pandemic. Global health is complex and unpredictable. Xenophobia, the fear of foreigners, is ancient. It leads to prejudice, discrimination, and violence. The UN promotes tolerance and respect for diversity. A uniform world would be boring. Diversity is a strength. Embrace differences and learn.
Young people are the future, and the UN knows it. Engaging young people in climate change and gender equality, they bring fresh perspectives and innovative ideas. The UN created platforms for youth voices and appointed youth envoys. We need young people's energy and creativity. They are essential for tackling future challenges.
It's embarrassing that we still haven't figured out how to feed everyone. Hunger is a solvable problem, and the UN knows it. Ending hunger is a top priority, with Sustainable Development Goal 2 aiming for zero hunger by 2030. Ensuring access to safe, nutritious food for everyone is crucial. A world where everyone has enough to eat is more just and stable. So there you have it, folks, the UN from A to Z. It's a flawed, complex organization, but it's our best hope for a peaceful, just, and sustainable world. The UN plays a crucial role in addressing global challenges and promoting peace. Remember, the UN is made up of people working tirelessly to make a difference. Please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel AI Explorers. Stay curious and maybe a little bit cynical. Until next time, keep exploring.